to the Monday Midsole with your co-host, Molly Mall.
That's not true.
Polos and
It's the
Jay.
people's grant.
Unboxed Ab. And Buckeye City Soul. Powered by the usual suspects. It's the Monday Midsole. Let's go.
Well, because we've been sitting here talking now.
Right, for at least an hour.
Yo, it's Monday. Welcome to the Monday Midsole. I am your co-host, Buckeye City Soul, aka Kev, and we got a great show planned for you today. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pass it on over to the Tuskegee Airman, Marcus.
What's good, fam? It's Polos and Jays, aka Marcus, aka OG Jay Walker, on day 10 of the quarantine lockdown from the senior citizen nursing home. Excited to be here this Monday. I'm gonna try to bring a little happiness to everybody today. With that, I'm gonna pass it over to the sad face guy, Mo.
Well, look at it like this. The plus for you as a senior citizen in a senior citizen home is that your people are essential. So you'll be all right. Somebody will be there to wipe your ass. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mo. I'm back. Sorry I was gone last week, but I'm here and ready to join the crew and the chat. And let's kick it over to Mr. Molly Mall.
Yo, what's going on? Usual suspects, your boy Molly Mall, leader of the Light Skin Legion. As Kev mentioned, we got a great show. Super excited. We got a great guest. Before we get into that, I'm going to kick it off to our co-host of honor for the evening and for this month, Miss Nicole, aka Rican Power Girl.
Hey, hi everyone. Representing for the society. Rican Power Girl. Just here.
With the power.
She said just
here.
I know, right?
Here. Listen.
Where her boy George had.
I like the hat.
Karma chameleon.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, I like the hat too. I like it. I like the fact that hat is on as well.
Oh.
Yeah, you wasn't on earlier when it was off. So,
Yeah,
but
was
anyway.
wild. It was getting wild for the night.
But Molly, do you want to?
Yeah, of course. And our guest really needs no introduction. We are joined tonight by Miss Jazzy. What's going on?
Hi guys. Happy quarantine.
I know this feels different. It's one thing. I don't really like to go out that often to begin with these days, but it's something about being told I can't go out. I'm kind of like, a little antsy here, but hopefully everyone's doing well, staying safe. Listen, I ain't going out
At all. Like,
I open the door and I'm just like, all right.
That's where it's at.
I guess listen, some clean air, a little bit, fresh air for the lungs, and I'm like, all right, close the door, let's go.
They put the Wuhan in them airplanes.
Listen, I don't know.
them airplanes. That's a headline right there.
Yeah. But on a serious note, I hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, and if you got a job that forces you to go out, be careful out there. You know what I'm saying? But I want to jump right into the interview. Normally we hit it off with the softball question, and Jazz, tell us your story. How did you get into sneakers? Like, give us the genesis.
Oh man. I was always a tomboy, I guess, and never was a young woman that wore dresses or kind of like vibed with that. Punky Brewster was my style icon. I'm an 80s baby. So, like cherry and punky and that whole vibe was, and like that whole just being able to freely move and live as a person and not have to be like confined to this thing was always kind of in me. So from a young age, I always was into sneakers. I would say like I got heavy into sneakers in 2001. I was like into cars first. I built like JDM cars. So I come from car culture, and during like car meets, I would see all of these people in like SBs, like particularly stuff they were like getting in Japan because we're like building our cars like in Japanese, domestic motorsport style. So it's like that type of fashion was always like influenced, and I'd be like, oh wow, like there's a subculture there. So it started with like trading shoes at car meets at like IBOC, and like being on Honda Tech and like trading shoes with people that I'd meet up with there, and like being on ISS and those types of communities. And Female Sneaker Fiend for me was like super huge at the time, because nobody around me was into sneakers that was female, but like on Female Sneaker Fiend on this forum, you could connect with women all over the world that were somehow like you, and it gave us this type of community. So I would say like that's when I started like more so like camping out and collecting and looking for shoes and tracking releases, and like it became more of a thing. But I always was like a girl who loved Chuck Taylors and Pippins and up-tempos, and you know, like grew up in that era.
Was there a particular shoe that like really got you started?
Yeah, it's like not like a fan favorite, like the Jordan, you know, but like the Jordan. I know. Get ready to drag me.
We're gonna loop your answer, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah. It was a Jordan 11 IE, the lows, and
okay.
So I worked at the mall, and I worked at Sears, and I sold like Dockers to old men. And like, it's actually like a super trajectory to my career of working in menswear, but it was a very humble beginnings at Sears in the men's department, servicing old white men and their Dockers.
Whoa.
Like, not in that way. Don't do that.
Damn it, Kevin. Like 8 minutes in, bro. Reel it in. God damn it.
We had a Foot Locker, and those shoes were like $74.99, and I had to put them on layaway. And like I like paid on layaway like every 2 weeks on the shoes until I got them. So I still have that shoe box. Not the shoes, I wore them into the ground, but I went back to Rosewood, San Diego, and I rebought them like years later.
Nice.
Nothing wrong with that. I got 2 pairs of them.
I
got a pair or 2 downstairs.
You know, it wasn't like the Concord or like something or something like that.
I get it. Yeah. You know, like the Black Cement 3. But listen, I like that answer that's a little bit different, you know? Right. It just kind of goes to the authenticity. All right, so that's kind of the beginning. Take us through your journey, you know, pretty much to now. I mean, we've got, you know, Kicks on Fire, you know, so many different accomplishments. Why don't we start kind of from the beginning when you started to get into kind of the media aspect of things?
Yeah, I started as a writer. Like I went to college to be a journalist, thinking I was going to have a column in Sassy magazine, and then fucking print died when I graduated. And I was like, okay. Like,
shit.
Like, womp, womp, womp. You know, it was like the whole feeling of like, okay, what are you going to do now? And Jock, Cousteau, the YouTuber, Jock is like family to me. He was in my wedding, and is like a very good friend of my ex-husband, and is like a godfather type role to my kids. And Jock reached out to me one day and was just like, hey, I bought this domain, NerdLike. Like I'm super, like he was super nerdy, and I always was like on the editorial side of things. And he was like, do you want to partner and just try to like make something of this? So that's how I became like NerdLikeJazzy, and we ran this like website, like pre-complex that was like bridging the gap between hip and hipster, and like giving like tech and fashion, like lifestyle news to young Black people in the community, essentially. And that like we had like a Comic-Con press passes. Like we did really well for being this like small website.
Nice.
And we would like cover like, I was doing like round tables with like LL Cool J and like covering Criminal Minds and like stuff like this. Like that's how it kind of started. And then another friend of ours knew the owner of Kicks on Fire, and he was like, oh, I'm looking for a girl. And he hit me up on AOL Messenger. AIM, you know, totally aging myself, but yeah.
You're in good company.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
he hit me up on AIM and was like, are you a rider? Yes. Like, are you a woman? Yes. Like, do you like sneakers? Yes. Like, literally, that was like the job interview. And then he's like, and he's like, do you want to write for this blog called Kicks on Fire? And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then he like told me it's a sneaker thing. Like, and I'm like, oh, you want me to just like write about the shit that I'm already Googling all the time? Like, okay. So I would do that at night, and the daytime I led marketing for the Girl Scouts of, I don't know what the area called. Now they're the Girl Scouts of LA, but it was for like the Northridge Valley area. And so I was like developing programming for young girls in marginalized areas who couldn't achieve like patches because they didn't have access or resources, like ways that they could earn the patch in their own culture or like their own style or like in their own way with their own leaders, and so that they didn't have to like weave baskets and shit and like whatever else, you know, like that they want you to do. So that was how I was like feeding my kids. And then I used to do that at night. It was just something for fun. And then like 2 years into it, Jock got laid off. Like we went into a recession essentially, like in 2008. And Jock got laid off, and he was like, I'm looking for work. And I was like, hey, you want to do a show for Kicks on Fire and like write for us? And he was like, all right. And then that's when his show was born there. And we kind of like worked together from then on, like until we kind of our individual paths. There was a time in 2015 when I left sneakers and kind of was like, fuck this whole industry, like was very just, I'm sure we've all been there, right?
I'm kind of
Exactly. And from there, like things definitely, you know, he leaned heavy into YouTube, and I leaned heavy into like strategy and production and merchandising and like lifestyle as a whole. And so now we're, you know, everybody I started with is out here fucking flourishing, you know, and it's super cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is there a video or a song with you and Jock?
Yeah. There is.
Bumblebee?
She hesitated.
Are you in the Bumblebee?
With the Bumblebee on?
Kev, go ahead and cue that up.
I don't have it. I should.
No, it's
funny because you jumped.
Get Lucky. It's a remix he did of Get Lucky. Yeah. And it's like if you like trying to get releases back then, it was like, you know, at Foot Locker trying to get lucky. At Nike trying to get lucky.
Oh, stop it.
That is definitely not my song.
I can see the wheels turning.
Right.
We've had Jock on. Jock's a friend of the program, and that's one of the things that he brought up as well. I always get a kick out of that.
We were like throwing spaghetti at the wall, literally. Like, let's try this and let's do this. And, you know, it was such a wild, like the internet was the Wild West then. It was a different time, you know. Now, like, there was no branded content, like all that.
So then you were very influential on the whole Chicks on Fire.
My best friend, Janae, who is a girl I met like in Blogspot comments, like on reading Black women blogs, and we would find each other in the comments. She was a writer at the newspaper in Kansas City, and she was a sneakerhead. And so we formed this internet connection, and I brought her into Kicks on Fire as well. And she and I started Chicks on Fire, which was like this attempt to break away from this like import model moment that like sneakers was having, where like girls were modeling with their boyfriend's shoes on, and like it was just a crazy time. Really? It wasn't anything. And you know, it was like lots of like naked in the bathtub with like sneakers over your titties, like type shoots going on, like a lot of that happening, like. And I just felt like there should be a space for women who were just regular ass fucking women in the world. Like, I don't want to be a model. I don't want to like do any of that. I'm just a woman that likes sneakers, and like we deserve the space too. And we really tried to celebrate women who worked behind the scenes. So like designers, that's where my relationship with Distorted started. I started mentoring her. We featured her. And back then, I'll tell you, we used to have to post Craigslist ads to find women that
Wow.
like sneakers. Like it was like we were on Twitter
Like
searching
feet.
for them.
Craigslist? Oh,
Wow.
Like if you're a woman that likes sneakers, like send us photos of you and like your collection.
Send us your
like,
feet
Oh, you're
photos.
getting catfished.
So what do you think, as far as like the evolution now with Kicks on Fire and a lot of these blogs with the branded content, like where it started to where it is now? Do you feel like obviously things have kind of gone way in terms of what they put out there and what they represent? Like, what are your thoughts on all that?
I think like it's so important. Like at my business, we say like we don't work with brands, we work with people, and it's the people that are inside of those businesses that make the business what it is. And there's a lot that you can tell, like especially about the framework of the industry. If the fact that like a person leaving can change the trajectory of the business, then like what is that platform standing on? Like what are their owners standing on? There's people have questions. They say 67% of people today, they don't read or purchase or buy from a company unless they understand that company's values and what their president stand, like everything about it, and that they support and understand them on a culturally relevant level. So I think like right now is I think especially with the Rona, but we're gonna see.
Roni.
Look, especially with the Rona, okay?
Right.
We are seeing the character of a lot of people and the heads of people in the brands. We're seeing what stores are open still and what stores, what stores are closed and
Adidas.
what it's like how and people are really taking that into account in a time like this. Like I seen people dragging Navient like up and down because it's like everybody canceled payments but Navient, and now that's like the number one thing that you see, like and it's just like on full display, like who you are and what your brand stands for. But I think like media as a whole is fucked, right? Like never more than now, but the amount of branded content that's out there, it's like people don't even want to see that on their timeline. Right. They scroll past that because they're looking for like what the micro influencer can give. Now, like that engagement is so high for somebody like with under 5,000 followers right now. Like, and so it's interesting to see like, and especially now, especially with the Rona, how creative people are getting, like virtual parties and things like that. Like the ante is up,
I'm all for a virtual party.
I'm down with that. We need to figure out how to do that.
I don't want virtual drinks. The drinks need to be real.
Every Monday it's a virtual party. What are you talking about?
This is true.
I don't be drinking for this because I get out of hand.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time and day that we did that though.
Oh yeah, there definitely was. I mean, it happened one time and it was like, nope, not again.
Hey, I ain't had nothing to do.
Evolution.
Like, man, what was I talking about last night? Okay, oh well. Who's mad at me? Nobody's mad? Well, we gonna make it.
Young fellas can't handle y'all drink. I'm good on mine.
Nicole,
I drink more than you.
This is water. No, this is water.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. You had moonshine 2 weeks ago. Talking about some water.
Marcus used to be on that red cup heavy.
Anyway,
now he on water bottles.
I'm about to say it's really vodka.
I'm trying to get these pounds off, player.
Marco,
you trying to do what now?
Get these pounds off.
No comment.
But,
you can't make a comment.
Nah, I'm good. I'm turning over a new leaf, sir.
Are you?
Yeah, you've been saying that for a couple of years.
Hey, I'm trying.
Not with the Rona. The Rona got everybody's toxic displays on.
Listen.
Everybody.
I'm down for like the IG push-up joints. I'm not down for that see a shot, take a shot. I'm not doing anything that's gonna ruin my immune system. I'm on vitamin C. I'm on multivitamins. I'm on the whole
I need to stop.
I try to get 8 cups of water a day.
I do the 8 cups, but I have some. I had a bottle of wine last night by myself.
I've been drinking that Airborne.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm trying to boost the immune system. I'm not trying to do anything to take away from it, but I ain't doing water.
That's what I said. You gotta do hot water with airborne, even your alcohol, and just heat it up.
Did you say even your alcohol?
Yeah.
Yo,
like hot toddy?
The chat says Mo is a goddamn lie. That's what the chat says.
What I did?
Damn, son.
Somebody, Kev, can you block her, please?
All right. Getting back on track. All right. So I just wanted to talk about some of the projects that you've done over the past, umpteen years. Well, it's been over a decade, right? I mean, realistically.
I'm like 13 years in. Consistency is key in this business, and a bitch is still out here. Okay?
That's it. That's what I'm talking about. So, you had mentioned a few things, especially like in the beginning, the Comic-Con, the round tables, but obviously from writing and everything else, that's evolved to different partnerships and things of that nature, just overall projects. So elaborate on that, take us through, some of the journey and what's involved with all that, like beginning to end from concept to creation.
Okay, let me see. So I'll start maybe on like the influencer side.
So, use the word.
Yeah, I hate this word, influencer.
We use the word. That was taboo. I was staying away from it.
you have to separate like what is, especially with like my career, like what was talent facing, which is what I consider like influencer work, and like what was strategic work, like partnering with the brand on like an internal level to change experience. And those are like two very different things with very different needs and very, different parts of my career. But when I was at Kicks on Fire, I did a lot of like influencer work, and some of that stuff was like Adidas. These two things were with Adidas. They were part of their Sneaker Switch and My Adidas programming. So they would call upon influencers or like sneaker media to design colorways of shoes that they were getting ready to put into My Adidas. So they were going to do the Superstar, and then they're like, okay, you 10 people like design a colorway, and then those are the ones that are like on the website when you go onto like a Nike ID or a My Adidas that like leads you through. So all the shoes I did before were like inspired by female heroines that I loved growing up. So these was our Beatrix Kiddo, they say Kiddo on them, and they're like from Kill Bill. And like I wanted them to say Crazy 88, but Adidas licensing wouldn't let me. And then these are from when they had a program where like you have an app and you take a picture of something, and then they photo. They put these up in like Wooster Street. They did like an art exhibit, I think was Snoop with these, and they like had all of the designer shoes up. This print is from a skateboard that I used to ride, like a longboard. That's why like I used to collect SBs, is because I came into sneakers like skating more so, like not as a basketball player. Okay. But so that's like influencer side, and then this
wasn't that Me Adidas? Isn't that what that was called? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I did these last year with Under Armour, and this was more so like bridging the gap in between sneaker.
It's on the site.
Yeah, like something about like, or something bridging the gap between like authority or strategist, quote unquote, and like talent, because I was like hosting a video and somebody else designed these. Her name is Jesus, and they wanted me to come in as like a sneaker authority to like tell her like where to lay the print and like where she should use color and blah blah blah. So it's like all of her illustrations on these ones. So that was something on that side. And then I would say like on the other side, I don't have those shoes out, but like recently my agency, True to Size by Crush and Lovely, Dawn Martin, who's my one of my business partners, she and I did New Balance's Black History Month launch. So Black History Month is this project here. New Balance never had a Black History Month collection, and this was the first time that they were launching one. Their team came to us and asked if we would partner on them to help launch it. And what they would come to do, what brands will come to me for 90% of the time is saying like, we have this cultural moment and we want to make sure that we're authentically speaking to the community that we want to speak to. So like, what would you do? and could you activate whatever you would do? And so that in this case looked like making sure that we activated with the Boys and Girls Club, and not at like the brand new Boys and Girls Club that was like renovated and everything in like Santa Monica. We want to activate at the Boys and Girls Club in Mar Vista Gardens, and to service like 300 kids that are in a true community, you know, particularly like young brown kids who never get an experience like having Kawhi come and like party with them for the day. And so you know, traditionally what happens is like a brand will throw money at like the nicest venue and like, you know, and it's not necessarily speaking to the kids who need to see that. And for me, like the biggest thing is like, if they don't see it, they don't know that they can be it. And it's more than just Kawhi. It's for me, like the touch point of this project was not like the collection or that New Balance did a Black History Month collection, because we've seen Black History Month collections for years. Like, that's not disruptive. What I've never seen before was a brand create an African-American product team and have that team be cross-sectional across the organization. And for every single member of that team, from marketing to strategy to development to design, be a person that comes from the community that the pack is intended to speak for. So they made sure that the intention was laid and the story was told true all the way from the beginning to the end. And that's like, you can really see that and you can feel that when a brand takes that extra step, you know, and like not to like harp on other brands, but like we've seen a lot of failed Black History Month collections too. And we've seen a lot of failed collections that fail a lot of the times, or product that fails because you take a look at the people that are in the room and not a single person looks like the product, like the person that the product is meant for.
Yeah.
Very true.
All facts.
So I would say like that's predominantly the work, you know, and the same with Reebok. My relationship with Reebok didn't begin on a talent side. It began with their internal team asking me like, well, it began with them seeing a photo I posted on Instagram like months before, and I was in the Shaqnosis in like my San Diego State hoodie and some sweatpants, and I'm like, I remember when we used to get bullied for dressing like this, and now girls wear $1,000 sweatpants and call it athleisure. And somebody from Reebok saw it, and they start tagging like their whole team, and the next thing you know, they're like reaching out to me, and I'm like, yeah, you guys have a problem. Like, you know, sneakers has a problem. Like, not just you, everybody. Do you know who your consumer is? Are you talking to your consumer? Who is your girl? You know, it's like one of the first questions I ask brand, who is your girl? Do you know who she is? And are you talking to her? Because it's not this girl with like a lavender latte climbing, like hiking this mountain and like outdoor voices. Like, that's not your girl. She don't, you know, she might be spending on StockX, but that's not your girl. You know, and so it takes like the brand has to want to invest in that though, and it takes a long time for a brand to get there to a place where they want to.
All right, talk a little bit more about the Reebok collab and that experience, and kind of where the whole, like again, from concept to creation, how that came about.
Yeah, they saw the picture on Instagram, and I told them that, you know, like there is a problem. Like, I've been a fan of the brand forever, and I think that they could definitely speak to women in a different way that they've been speaking to them. And so what they did was like, they said, tell us about it, which is something that like brands rarely do. You know, they're like, come in and talk to us. And they gathered a bunch of women from around the organization, and my other business partner, Mazen, and I went in, and we just talked through like some of the challenges women have. And that's kind of like the benefit of everything from the work I did at Chicks on Fire, and just having your ear to the ground on social, staying connected to the community. Is when I'm in the room, like, I'm not telling my story, I'm telling the story of like thousands of women who are tweeting me every day and sending me articles and, you know, saying like, did you see this, blah, 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 and they're upset. And so I'm just like, we don't want pink, we don't want purple, like they don't want this, it's not just me. Like, I could put my money on it. And the part of the reason the brand doesn't want to invest in it is because there's no data. So I could go in there and say, like, you have a consumer, but we're shopping men's first, so are you capturing our sale? If we're shopping men's first, like, do you know that we're shopping? If we're shopping kids first, do you know that we're shopping? If we're buying unisex, do you know that we're shopping? Like, are you looking at hyperlocal data? How are you organizing the spending on women and justifying that? And just said, like, give me a shot at, like, working with you to see, like, if we could do something different and just offering something. And they said, like, you know, do you think that some of your other friends would be down? And I'm like, yeah. And then I said, but I don't want to be cast in a campaign. Like, you're not going to cast me next to other people, you know?
Right.
And they were like, no, we'll do it your way. You know, like, we'll do what, like, they really gave me, like, the ultimate amount of trust, because there's no data, you know? And it's like, it's a risk to give that kind of money, like the budget that you need to do a 5-pack on a global level. And they just said, like, show us, like, if you say that this is what we should do, then, like, we're gonna take a chance. And we've done well, you know, like, and I'm blessed for the girls that I chose. And for me, it was super important that we were telling stories that are not told in sneakers. Dark-skinned Black women who are body positive, like, speaking for the LGBTQ community as well. We're showing stories of women who work behind the scenes, like Distorted, women who are artists, women like Wonder Girl, who's an engineer and a producer, women that are on the ground and working in music that aren't necessarily rappers. And that's how you show them that they can be it. Like, you know, like, you have to be a living example and living proof that there are other avenues and lanes for you to be successful in sneakers, you know, without, like, having an OnlyFans and dating a rapper.
Ooh.
Right.
Message.
Drop the mic.
I gotta get my charger, so 1 second. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
All right, let's talk about her now that she's gone.
In the meantime, chat, once again, if you have any questions, be sure to drop it in the chat. Kev, keep me honest if you see anything. Just pull that out, pause, and take a question, got it down.
Kev, why don't I see you at all?
I'm here.
It's six of them. You can't see, but
He's incognito.
I'm about to say I see everybody but Kev.
Yeah, on the one part.
And
I'm
Corona.
up in the top. So, like, the border's blocking it.
Oh, okay, I got you.
All right.
I love this empowerment.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you have, like, a lot of insight as far as, you know, brand strategy and whatnot. What do you think is something that they do well, and what do you think they still need to improve on?
I think, you know, one of the biggest things I've seen as a change is, like, more of a focus on saying we want to talk to the community and we want to be in the community. You're seeing a lot of, like, hyper local campaigns and things that are like the Nike store with the product changing out based on zip code and those types of things. And you see, like, power stores by Foot Locker. You see, like, these changes that are saying that the brand is open for change, but I think, like, the change is very slow, and that they're very hesitant to make it, and, like, not everybody's able to make it at the same level. And that also creates difficulties when, like, one brand has millions of dollars to throw at something. Like, I mean, we were literally we were locked down for 1 day, and Nike already is like, play inside, whole fucking campaign. Like,
Yeah.
No, for real.
1 day.
Yeah.
The campaign was crazy because I had saw somebody who was in it. They reposted it, and they didn't skip a beat. Like, and they pledged 15 mil right off the rip. You got other brands that are still open, well, that were trying to stay open, so they weren't accepting reality. And you had other brands who were doing what they could. Under Armour pledged 2 mil, and Steph's, you know, doing a lot of things behind the scenes there as well. So, no, I get what you're saying. And a lot of this,
Excuse me.
like,
Oh my gosh. Sorry.
what I miss.
She sneezed.
Someone.
Whoa.
Corona.
Cut her mic.
Drop her.
I'm about to say, cut the mic.
You can't be here
Cut it.
anymore.
I'm about to say, yeah.
Drop her.
Listen, bacteria like that can travel faster than the speed of light.
5G.
Come through the mic, like no.
Oh,
I would imagine though, like everything, you know, with the shutdown, will probably slow some of that. But what do you think? You know, it doesn't have to go too in depth because I don't want them to steal your sauce or anything. But like, what do you think still needs to be worked on? Like, what is something that you just keep missing the mark?
I think the way that we shop has to change. Definitely, we see that now. But more so, one of the bigger messages that I'm telling brands I've been saying for years is the fact that, like, if the shit is dope, it's just dope. You don't need to have it on a women's wall, a kid's wall, and a men's wall. Like, just the framework in which we shop is so archaic, and with the community that we have, and especially Gen Z coming up, like, we're much more vocal and much more socially active, and they will stop giving their dollar. Like, they don't give a fuck, you know? Like, they are very, like, my son is like, I don't eat that, I don't support that brand, I don't wear these clothes. Like, you know, he's almost 13, like, and they care, you know, they have very strong opinions. And when we see how our community in the climate that we live in, which is like fluidity, and particularly gender fluidity, and the patterns of what we see and like how we need to support that, supporting that is not remaining in archaic forms of shopping, and not only creating uncomfortable spaces for 50% of Americans, you know, essentially, that are identifying as not being like totally straight as an arrow, or or unsure of their gender identity. And so you know, at this point, if women are buying men's first, and we're going to move, you see this huge move, especially the last 2 years, towards unisex. Victoria Beckham's unisex collection particularly is sold out in 24 hours. And it's like, if those types of things can happen, then why are we walking into Foot Locker and like seeing a Jordan 3 on like 5 different balls? It just doesn't make sense. And I think that the way that we sell then is changed also, because I think, you know, with women, they try to sell us as like one category, like, oh, right, it's women's, but like there's many different faces of women, just like there are many different faces of basketball. Like, there's not just the Jordan, right? Like, we have the Kobe's, we have LeBron's, you can wear Paul George's, like it's a million fucking basketball shoes you could wear based on your personal style. And I don't understand why that doesn't also transfer, particularly with women. Like, we don't just want one of two things. There's many different types of women with many different needs. And so at this point, we should really be shopping style first, and like style personality first. When I was selling Real Friends gear and Real Friends hat, and even my shoe, like what I noticed is that the big sizes went just as fast as the small sizes, you know, and I had far more male customers selling clothes and hats, far more than I did women. And a lot of that probably has to do with like tenure at Kicks on Fire and being in the sneaker community. But women, like, we aren't shopping in our traditional category, so we also don't have the data to say, like, is that a true number? And so I feel like there just has to be, it's like Allen Iverson was one of my style heroes. So it's like, if that's not a, like, you know, a prime example right there, especially like all the women wearing Jordan 1s, it's like we weren't just looking at like the two female icons we had.
So can I ask a question? So do you, from the brands that you have worked with, is there one that is more leading in falling into this space? I mean, if you could say. So do you think Nike is closer to kind of identifying us as women? Do you think Adidas, Reebok, like which brand do you think is more advanced?
I think they're all advancing in different ways and things. Like, I know Nike has a retail innovation team that is specifically thinking about this issue and like what retail looks like. And they're trying things and they experiment and they're not a bunch of sneakerheads. It's a bunch of people that have a diversity of thought, and they're looking at it from a tech and data angle as well, and emotional KPIs, which is like, that's, you know, it's not about these sales KPIs and like followers. Like, we need to be tracking emotions and like how people feel about the brand, because that is where the dollar is going. And so, you know, it's the people that are understanding that. And I think Nike's doing a great job. Again, like, they have a bunch of money though that they have that's really fluid to be able to attack this and put a whole team together. And is that fair to compare to like an Asics, right? Or like, or a Saucony, or like something like that. Exactly. You know, it's like, is it really fair? Because they're not able to just make those kind of moves right away. And then we have to look at like privately owned businesses, publicly held businesses, and what you can do and the differences there. Family owned businesses and what type of freedoms that they have. You know, all of those things, the business, like as consumers, particularly sneakerheads, I know that we get emotional about like how the community is, but we have to also remember at the end of the day, they're large corporations that want to make a dollar, and they have boards, and they have, you know, 7 levels of people that are making decisions normally and things before you even get to like a stakeholder.
So I'm sorry, Marley. So just a quick question, since you have been in the culture, and I see a little bit going on the chat as well. So we talk about the females and the female representation, right? But then we talk about also inclusion in what we have considered to be a man's world. So why continue to segregate those two things?
What the it's a man's world crossed out?
No, not in regards to your Reeboks, but why is it so important? I know for me, as far as being represented as a woman, but then like, for instance, the Melody came out and they were asking, you know, only female buyers, you know, for right now, so on and so forth. But we've been buying men's shoes for many years, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about having that exclusion? I mean, we want to be represented, right? But how do you do that without segregating?
Exactly. The only way that you can do it, you have to rip the Band-Aid off, right? And create serve just the same offering for everybody. And it is what it is, and you get what you get, and you don't get upset. Or you open up the offering and stop producing only 600 or 800 or whatever the run is. Like, you have the mold, you can bust down the mold and do how many pairs you want to. But we do things like starve the market, you know, so that when we bring that shoe back, it hits. When that shit if it just sat on the shelf, it would have been sitting there for $54.99. But because you starved the market for 18 months and then you want to bring it back, like, you know, the industry lives on hype.
No, I get that, because I feel like in regards to that, like starving the market, I feel like it's the same thing with size. Because there's a lot of shoes that I can't get because I wear a small size because it's not creative.
Exactly.
Right?
But some of that too is, again, about what the brand can do. Like, for me, sizing was hugely important when I went in to do my shoe. And a lot of times, like, what we don't know as the consumer also, because we think like Virgil is sitting there drawing our fucking shoe and then he's handing it to somebody in a factory and they're just running thousands of them. It's like, no, there's 15 people that have to touch that shoe design as it goes through development. That goes through QA, it goes through 3 different types of designers, an engineer, before it even goes into production and a sample comes out, you know? And so I think when I was going through it and my shoe was going through QA, they bring me the size and I'm like, oh, if I run this in women's in a women's size, my son wouldn't be able to fit. And so it's like, okay, well, I have to run unisex, not for the reasons that you typically think, like, oh, my foot's too small, or like, you know, it's these issues that they really, like, they don't care because it doesn't affect their dollar, you know? But like when you have enough reasons that circle this, it's like not just for the women that have a small foot, it's for like the offering to be available for everybody. It's also for people that, you know, maybe I'm the designer, but now my own son won't be able to wear my shoe unless I do a unisex size. Right. If it's unisex, why aren't we just doing everything unisex? Why do women have a separate size bracket? It doesn't make sense. And so they were like, oh, wow, we didn't even think about that. And I'm like, why, you know, and
Really?
that team has to, like, that person has to care. Like, there's too many variables, you know, like that person has to know, like, they're not trying to hold me back, which is what I thought for a long time. Like, why don't these shoes come below a 6? Blah, blah, blah. Like, somebody's trying to hold me back. You know, like, that's really how I felt. Like,
I've been fighting all my life.
yes, exactly. It's like, that's how you really feel. Then I get there and it's like, they're very compassionate. They just don't know unless somebody says something. And they're like, oh, wow, of course, that makes sense. And it's like, maybe we should always do this in unisex. It's like those types of things, asking the right questions and bringing up the issue. That's why I encourage people to, like, use their voice, like, speak up, say what, because a lot of times people want to make a change and help you, but, like, they don't know why it's important.
I agree.
Awesome. Did you pull any questions from the chat?
I didn't see any. I think that you, Hella had a question, but then you took care of her.
Okay.
So,
Did 313 have something?
No, Nicole, you answered one of my questions, or you asked one of my questions, so we're good to go there. I would say, you know, we've got another 12 or so minutes. We can go into overtime a little bit, but I'm good on releases. I mean, Air Max Day, the Duck Camos, that's about it, right?
Yeah, those in the 2090s. That's all that's coming
Yeah, the
out.
2090s.
And then Saturday you got the ones dropping.
The Mist, you got the Adidas 380, the Mist, that's dropping. Right, just to highlight a few that kind of take care of it.
I don't even know what one's dropping. I ain't even focused.
So.
About to say, listen, the Rona got my money.
I'm done purchasing.
It sounds like somebody's playing music like that in the chat.
Really? I don't know who.
I don't know.
Someone's playing music, what?
In the chat, they said somebody's playing.
There's music
Oh,
in the
that's-
background.
Oh,
That's
there's
our
music that
background.
plays in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is gonna I want to know what you guys think is gonna happen with the Rona. Like, how do you think this is gonna affect your shopping habits?
I want.
Well,
That's a topic that I wanted to roll into. So if it's okay with everybody else, I'd rather skip releases and pickups and go.
Yeah, let's go. I ain't got shit anyway.
Post-Rona economy.
We're already here.
All right,
so.
Yeah,
you
you
got the
good.
drop?
Let's go.
Yeah, you're already good. I already ran it.
Oh, we're good. All right, so the topic in hand here is kind of like what the sneaker industry, what sneaker culture will be, you know, after this pandemic, which is having obviously the quarantine, but there's going to be severe economical ramifications as well. Many economists will say we're in a recession. It's the onset recession, so it's here. So if anyone's curious, like we're living it. Jobless claims went up. They were expected to be somewhere in the 220s. They're already 280 last Thursday. We'll get another report this Thursday. I would say that's probably going to jump up quite a bit as well. I know a lot of small businesses, they had to lay off folks. You think of like the restaurant business, some entertainment business, things of that, where there might not be, you know, that large corporate backing or influx of cash, or whatever the case may be. So like for me, I know I'm like, all right, well, unless I really want the shoe, I'm just not going to do it. And where I might have picked up a shoe early for a couple extra bucks, I'm like, let me wait for release day. So it's already having effects on like my spending habits. And part of that was already naturally happening just because of my my feelings toward the brand.
What brand is that,
that way, right? Just the way things are being handled. It makes you feel a certain way, you know, with the online platform.
You can tell that was emotional for him. You could really tell. He had to drink some water after too. Everything. It took him a lot to say that. Ooh, the Rona got you, huh? The Rona.
No. Listen, the whole digitization and all that nonsense, the bots, the resellers, all the nastiness that comes with the culture, it comes to a head, and you know, you get a little fed up. So like, while I still buy shoes, I still have a passion for it. It's not the same that it was 12 months ago or 18 months ago. And I think something like this coming along, also affecting the way in which brands interact, because now that's money that they don't get to allocate towards marketing some other things. Like, I'm going to pull back. Like, I'm not buying nearly as much this year as I did in years past. But what do you guys think? Like, what's your thoughts in general?
Well, I
on
mean,
the whole...
for me, I am a co-owner of For the Society. I should have had this like this whole time. I don't even know why.
No, you should cover that up.
She got the
Ain't no
Janet
free,
Jackson
ain't no
shirt
free
on.
advertising on here. Cover that up.
Today we ended up closing down the whole shop and removing all the inventory also from there and splitting it into 2 different locations just in case.
You can make it a 3rd location if you want. I can house some shoes.
Any size 12s?
Yeah, so for us it's funny. So this week we did appointment only, right? Thinking people were not really going to be shopping. There's been a lot of people coming out to shop.
Oh yeah, of course.
Exactly.
They ain't got nothing to do.
Yeah, so I've been stopping people like only one person could come in. But I mean, right now we could be basically out of work for months.
Mm-hmm.
And then that means no new inventory. We're not shopping anything new. We're not bringing. So we sold so much in the last week that we're low on inventory. And then we also have brands, local brands that we have at the shop. We also had to do that. So even like looking at policies and, however, I would say this: I feel like the government, in the positive side, has provided some avenues for small businesses and are considering small businesses a whole lot more than what they were before. Right. So when we're looking at all the negative, we're also looking at the positive as well. I'm just saying, now they got all these grant programs. Didn't they have these grant programs before?
Have you looked into those?
I have started, and I saw that there was a lot of
They want you to jump through hoops. They want you to
I was gonna say
fire with your breath.
Oh, they want this whole thing like an in-house accountant. But for me, it was a little bit emotional just seeing the shop empty, especially since we just relocated there. So yeah, we haven't been at that location more than a year. But
so, like, I'm interested to see what small businesses actually get that funding, because it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. It sounds good in theory. I want to see it implemented. You know what I mean?
So some of them are asking like for W-2s and this, that, and the other. As an owner, we don't, there's other ways of going about that. So now we have to reach out to our lawyers and accountants for them to kind of go through,
which is
the red tape. Yeah, more money
isn't free. I also wanted to just shed some light on a lot of the retailers dropping prices, right? So like Foot Locker right now is 25% off. Nike has 25% off. They had massive restocks last week in the kill resell categories, right? Things that most resellers had in bulk and were trying to get rid of themselves. You saw prices dip on StockX. So
we can't go outside. Why you want to buy sneakers?
Everybody is buying. Yes.
We can't go outside.
I ain't buying.
We're probably not gonna be able to go outside till fall.
You can go outside.
They got
go for a nice walk. Run, walk.
I did pick up a few things. I'm not even gonna front, but that was on some. Listen.
Oh, but you ain't buying nothing.
I was about to say,
wait. There were things I already had that I paid full price on, so you already know what's going down.
Oh, here we go. That's
it. Listen, you got to buy down your cost basis and redirect certain product, and then.
But my thing is, with some of these things that have been re-released, I'm like, why didn't y'all release this before? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
you know why?
Yeah, well, marketing. She explained why. Yeah, she explained why.
Right.
Yeah,
they were holding on the inventory. Yeah. Well, they were holding on the inventory to make products seem more scarce. And then you saw, like, when they started to panic, they hit the button like, all right, let's get rid of all this stuff. Let's drop the price. Because ultimately what it is, it's just like everything else in the market. It's a chase for liquidity. Like, how much cash can we raise on hand to make it, to weather through the storm, right? So they can get rid of all the junk, and then whatever they get their inventory from China and all the new stuff that's a little bit more sought after that they are already expecting for it to do well, then they can try to generate more dollars. Let's just take Nike, for example. Nike's price their stock was somewhere about $1.05, $1.06, give or take $1 or $2 at the high, at the peak. it's trading somewhere in the $60 per share range right now. So like their market cap is taking a huge hit in roughly 4 weeks. So they have to do something to raise capital. Their stores are closed, so they're not getting any money there.
They're paying
employees. They're donating money, so they're gonna, reduce some of that because that's money that they're gonna get on the back end. It's a very nice gesture, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there's a means to an end with that.
Of course.
And they're going to continue to lose money as long as anyone is semi-locked down anywhere.
Right. So they were already pushing to try to take product out of the store and go digital. That was Donahue's whole plan. They were going to, take inventory from Foot Lockers. They were taking, inventory from mom and pop. We saw all the mom and pop spots in New York and some of the other well-known businesses that were shutting down, Dr. J's, for an example. So they're in survival mode. It's like fight or flight mode. And I think you're going to see the same thing on the consumer side. It's like, all right, well, do I need these? Do I want these? Like,
look, people can't, especially in the creative, in the creative sector of things, which is a lot of sneakerheads also that I know, like those people can't even pay their rent right now. And that, thinking about a pair of sneakers, I think especially in discussing the recession that is definitely approaching and the continuing unease of not understanding where the bottom of this thing kind of is, and that we haven't even really approached that, is very scary for large businesses. And I could tell you, the only projects that I have that survive this are strategy, and they're hanging on by a thread, but they're hanging on because it's now they really want to know what the fuck they should do, and how and how to really get through this. But everything is, when you think about a Coachella being canceled, we don't think about the money that a Nike had in Coachella or Adidas had in Coachella, or and all of the partners, and then on top of that, all of the vendors, performers, and then on all of the contractors, the producers, everybody that was working on it, the agency partners. Businesses are just fucking in shambles. I
think that's the part that gets overlooked, with this whole quarantine and Corona thing, because if you pay attention to the news, they're going to highlight the market and the steep decline over the past 4 weeks. But that's just based off the fear and the uncertainty. We haven't actually seen the economic data that's, going to be felt from home to home. Nicole, you mentioned, your business in particular and some of the efforts that are going to be out there, but how difficult is it to obtain that? You know what I mean? And they're saying they're going to give X amount of dollars per household. Who's actually going to receive that?
That got shut down.
Well, it didn't necessarily get shut down. It's just on ice because they can't come up with an agreement, because right now it's more of a corporate tactic.
Bailout.
It's a corporate bailout. That's what it is. It's giving money to big businesses, giving them extra cash on hand, which you're probably just going to use to buy more of their own equity and pay the people on the top. So we kind of seen that song and dance in 08, when they gave money to the banks and the banks didn't let that money out like they were supposed to. They ended up just hoarding it and spending frivolously and the whole 9 yards. So I think this time around you're going to see more resistance, and that's why they come to an impasse twice in the past 36 hours, because they're not just going to write a blank check.
But I think it will you're definitely going to see a change after this. Will we see, will Off-White remain what it is in an economy where people's daddies no longer have a job?
Right.
And people's daddies' stocks are no longer doing well, and that fluid income is gone. What will it look like out there, and what will brands that maybe didn't chase that cool for so long, where will they stand? And I think what the other thing we'll see is this birth of new creative energy. like across the board, and how we're delivering content, and how important is the brick and mortar, how important is your e-com, and what are you doing it, how dedicated and authentic is your community, and how are you serving your community. I think all of those things are definitely going to see a facelift after this. Like the brands are they're frozen, budgets are frozen, everything is frozen. So you have to think about collaborators, and even that now taking a turn. Like in this economy, probably not gonna see 70 rappers get a shoe next year. Mm-hmm. It's probably quiet on collabs for a minute. And so if you can't sell the cool through a collab, then the brands are gonna have to be very creative. And I think that also how the content and things are sold and what matters is going to be totally different to people post the situation.
And I think small businesses also continue to get overlooked, but those are the people that are working in your community, right? So, something so simple. I had someone that was asking me about toilet paper, and it was actually online earlier. And I was like, oh, they have some here. What are you talking about? They ran out. I have a corner store here that has toilet paper. And I picked up some toilet paper for them. But that's the same concept even where in the sneaker community. We continue to talk about, yes, resellers is not, and that's always been my argument, it's not always hiking up the price, right? There's a lot of things that you could get under retail as well. But what is everybody doing? They're going into Nike, buying, continue to buy. And it's like, no, these small businesses are the ones that really need your support.
Exactly.
It still has not clicked.
I'm doing a retail survey right now, like a blind retail study for one of my clients. And one of the biggest insights I found across everybody was that people prefer to shop for sneakers in particular at local boutiques. And it's like a lot of the reason why is because they know the owner, they understand the owner's values. The owner might run them some toilet paper. Like it's a community, right? And like they don't know who the fuck is designing this wall at Foot Locker or whatever, or Champs or like something. And that was already a feeling before the Rona. Mm-hmm. And now with the Rona, people want to support small businesses. Like I'm going, my everything is closed now, but it's like I was going still and ordering delivery from my little shops around my neighborhood because I'm like, I don't know if that lobster shack gonna be here in 5 months.
Exactly.
I really have to support where you can, and that is what I mean about like what will happen to the culture and community like post this, and where will we do our shopping? How? Who's gonna survive? How will they survive? What does that look like?
Do you think like we are seeing the sneaker bubble pop right in front of our face?
No, because I tell you, I've been here 13 years and I thought that 3 times at least. Like definitely when that little Honey Nut Cheerio was dancing in LeBron's, I was like, okay, it's over almost. It's almost over for us. It can't be. And then the peanut got one too, and it's like, nope, we're not over. Yeah. It's not over. Oh, wow. We're still here.
Yeah. So was it Josh Schlubin, StockX Day in 2019? He was asked that question, like, do you think StockX will be able to withstand a recession, knowing that it's probably on its way? I don't think we thought it was coming in this magnitude, but if you familiar with business and the economic cycle, you knew that obviously we had a huge run up and all good things come to an end. His answer, and very confidently, he thought that it would be able to withstand. He did not see, a bubble, so to speak, on the culture or on shoes in general. But you made a pretty valid point, right? Like what happens when CEO babies aren't able to purchase Off-White and all that other stuff. Like, so that's a whole demographic that could potentially be wiped away. The true and true are going to be there, right? Like I'm always going to love sneakers and I'm always going to dedicate some sort of income and passion to that. How much? Well, that remains to be seen, but it's always going to be there.
How much and how, right? Mm-hmm. I think is like the secondary question, like how much and like what does it look like? Like there were times where I was camping out and I'm like looking for one specific type of shoe, and then other times in my life where I'm more interested in design and innovation, and like, you know, like as you grow too, like the way that you're participating in culture is shifted and changed as well. And I think that is what you're really gonna see, like post this situation. You're gonna like sneaker culture is gonna continue to be, you know, and something I said before this whole situation happened was like, you know, sneakers is a culture, but I don't think it's a community anymore. Where it used to start, it was a community when I came into it. Like, I think this is forcing us to return to a community, you know, and that in creating community has never been more important. I mean, I've been drunk at home on more virtual happy hours than I go to in my real life. It's like,
That'll be me tonight.
I'm about to get one too. No.
Nope.
Another bottle of wine tonight.
Because content creators are every night. It's like, okay, Monday she's having one, and you know, and when you are women, like the woman here on the call, you know, is like when you're a woman that supports other women, empowers other women, you show up, and you particularly show up in these types of times, right? So like you're gonna go and buy from her store, you're gonna tune into the podcast, you're gonna go to the virtual happy hour, you're gonna do anything you can to like support somebody creating at this time. And people are going to remember that, you know, and community piece is building again. Because now it's like, guess what? We ain't nowhere to go outside to flex.
Right.
One of my oldest friends was like, yo, I know I lost it because I just put a whole Joe Freshgoods outfit on just to go ride my bike.
Well, listen, man. Jazz, we got a pioneer on the show. I mean, my man Mark has been doing that for years. He don't never leave the crib.
I've been an in-house flexer for years. So anybody else that's doing it now,
he used to flex on the Conestoga wagon back in the day.
Look, this is your time, man. Like this. You can create a webinar and start teaching niggas how to flex at home.
No, I'm gonna let the young folks have it now. I'm retired.
Now you got to do it, dog. Listen, Zoom is free right now. You can download Zoom. You know, what I mean, get in your Zoom room and you can you know, do a little pose on the couch and then actually shift the camera so people can figure out what the hell you be looking at over here. Like,
hey, take advantage of that Zoom. You could do like a fit outfits type thing.
It's time to elevate.
Yeah, he's gonna put his Lil Nas X outfit on, the pink.
Oh Lord!
Be careful, Uggs, man. Be careful.
I got him up right now.
Do you really?
Right now. Yeah, I found him.
He does.
I found him.
Jazz, what do you think about men's with Uggs?
My son wears them, so
listen, he gets a pass. Like that's a thing. I'm talking about like this dude right here.
This big grown ass burly looking dude.
The whole family got him.
Listen.
Walking around with cargo shorts and Uggs on.
The whole family got them, and they wear them with their matching Burberry.
Yeah, you know.
Okay, man, rocking up Burberry.
That's one thing. Listen, that's one thing you don't see. You don't see those brands putting out some sales.
You know, you gotta address the part sometime.
I hear that. I know I'm very interested to see kind of how things progress over the next 3, 6, 9 months. As far as brands are concerned. I mean, listen, that's first and foremost. We are in real life March Madness right now. It's all about surviving and advancing. Like that is it. That's day to day.
I'm concerned about people who want to get extra and want to break in cars and houses, and that's my fear.
They catch that extra leg.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, I'm gonna be sleeping on my main level, and you can break in all you want.
That dog.
Breaking all you want.
She said my main level.
Yeah, I already told my wife. I was like, look, main level.
I'm gonna be on my main level.
I'm gonna be sleeping in Arthur's quarters today.
That humble flex.
I know.
That was a humble flex. Look at that.
You know,
in the living room.
Yeah,
the living room. In the living room.
My main level.
Right.
He says, I'm gonna be sleeping in the library tonight. If y'all wanna. I put money in your books.
Somebody dare break into my foyer.
I got an in-house pool.
My living room.
Venison, guard my door.
You better get out my butler's pantry.
The slave quarters.
I can't stand y'all.
Like, kids, get out of the pantry.
Jeffrey, don't let anybody in the shoe room.
Anything else, Master Mo?
Worry, don't nobody know about that, all right? Chill.
Oh man, now I got no sense.
Marcus got a musket ready.
A musket. Oh,
I got cannonballs, boy. What you talking about?
Lord of mercy.
Cannons to the left.
I can see him there fuddling with it. They just looking at it after. What you doing?
You better not miss.
Give me time to light this stem.
Stay right there.
Oh, no.
You got a Tom and Jerry kid.
Y'all
Listen,
crazy.
I'll tell you one thing though. I ain't been on keto since this whole Rona thing. If I'm going out, I'm going out on carbs. That's for sure.
What? No, you
Hey,
gotta
go
for
out happy.
sure.
go.
Oh no, I'm going out super happy.
I'm going
Like
extra.
it's been a
thick.
bake off in my kitchen. I've been making all types of things.
Yo, I've
You
had
got
to
some special
start.
brownies?
I've had to start giving my kids food that they've never had before, and they're like fucking traumatized by it. They saw me making like scallop potatoes, you know, because like I can't get
Scallop
potatoes at
potatoes
the
on
store.
Oh, they got them here. Go back to the store. I went to the store yesterday, and they had potatoes all over the place.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
do
the
not have-
vegetables.
You in Ohio though, homie?
Yeah, no
They
problem.
was out the other day.
It's fully stocked over here.
Yeah, you got to get
Oh,
the
yeah.
canned potatoes
That's what it
that everybody sleep on.
Where I'm
Listen,
at.
I get
Ain't shit.
once a week. I get up super early. I go in the mask and a hoodie. I don't even comb my hair. I look crazy because I want you to think twice about turning in that aisle.
Dang!
Yo.
You really going with the mask?
Wow.
What a wonderful
Oh,
boy!
100%. 100%.
You know, Margo. We've seen the mask. What are you
100%.
talking about?
I thought he was just sitting in the pictures joking
But
around.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
Clorox wipes in each hand, like pushing
That was
the
me.
thing.
I wrapped my whole cart in a Clorox wipe,
Oh,
but I was
It's,
just
and it's twofold
Yeah.
too, right? Because you know, like when you get the produce bags, you can't open them without.
Oh, yeah, without licking your finger.
But
I don't do that.
But you got the Clorox wipes.
Oh, you
got the
do it
gotta
like that.
go like that.
Do
Yeah,
it like
Marcus,
that,
no.
Nah, that shit don't work, man. That shit don't
Yeah,
work
it
for
does.
me.
Somebody
So,
was
the
spitting on
Clorox
the
wipe-
bags.
You got the most sensitive ass hands. That's what it is.
Somebody
Sensitive. I got sandpaper hands. I've been washing my hands 16,000 times a day. Out of fire.
Got the hand like the little dude on
I
Scary
grabbed
Movie.
the card with a wipe. I grabbed the card with a wipe,
Oh,
then finished
100%.
wiping it, wiped the whole thing, then like put the insert in it, gave it back to me. He was looking like, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't want to.
I throw the paper
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
in the
listen,
cart.
I don't care. I'm in there. I'm in there looking crazy because I want you to think twice about turning into that aisle with me. I want more than 6 feet. And if you are brave enough to come towards me, I'm definitely making a U-turn.
Hey, just
I'm
hit him
there.
with a stress fart.
Grabbing my shit and I'm out.
And that look like a psycho Tiger Woods and shit.
a psycho tiger.
The whole mask.
Oh,
man.
The whole mask, yo. The
You
whole
look like one of the
crazy.
dank danks on Spaceballs.
Hair looking wild. I don't care. I ain't messing around,
At least
dog.
you got here. So, you know,
I ain't messing around.
Yeah, he got a lot of that shit growing out like a mug. Thick
Oh,
ass
mine?
fur.
Hey, stop hating.
y'all are gonna be looking like some
No
woolly
hate.
mammoths with no barber open.
Yeah.
Not I.
Not
bro.
me.
I shave it off.
I ain't seen a barber in 12 years.
Yeah, same. Probably 20.
Come out there looking like people under the stairs.
Basically.
There
I
was a
sent my
post-
sons to the barber and said, get that shit cut extra low because I don't know when you gonna see that nigga again.
He said, what
That's
fade?
what they said, like, in 3 weeks, they're gonna be able to see true hair color in 3 weeks.
Uh-oh.
So
Hey, Q,
Okay.
I see the light skin comment. I'm just, just trying to reach my LSC.
Wait, what you say?
Light skin kid.
My light skin capabilities. No, but that pretty much wraps it up. Ladies, gents, anything else you want to add before we take it down?
No, I'm about to go upstairs. Mom's in town. She's gonna spend the quarantine with us because she's by herself. So make sure
Alright.
she good.
is your mom cooking over there?
The wife cooked.
Okay.
Okay. Shit.
Yeah,
Where I get one of those? You know, I'm Chef Marley over here. I need somebody to cook for me. Shit.
Yeah, I eat.
I just want to ask something, because you like your kids are like bugging out about what you make. Don't you have like some really creative meals you be throwing out?
I do. It's the MILF meals hashtag.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where they make them at? Pornhub. I've seen that movie before.
I'm about to say, like, they should be used to this. Like,
And now that's why they're
throwing
upset.
something crazy together.
Mom made
Yeah, now they're
stovetop.
upset.
Who else wants the stuffing?
They're like, what are these basic bitch meals coming out now? I'm like, that's all I could get. Like, they have the nerve to be requesting shit like, can you get the purple shampoo? It's like, nigga, I'm gonna get whatever they get. It's
You get DO5,
it's
motherfucker.
District 13 out there right now. Like, you don't know what you can get when
You about to get
come.
White Rain from the Dollar Tree,
Like,
motherfucker.
Right.
ain't no special requests anymore. Like,
Nah, yo, real talk, true story. I was digging in the back of the closet and I found Axe. I was like, damn, we're going back to freshman year of college. If it get rough, this yesterday, yesterday, cleaning out the closet, bro. Listen, a lot of spring cleaning going on during the Rona, and I was like, you know what? Let's keep this out, because you don't know.
Get rough.
You don't know.
you really
Listen, if I'm
don't
gonna feel like
know.
a freshman, I might as well do it at home.
Walk around smelling like 19.
Are you gonna use it? What are you gonna use it is the question.
Oh, push comes to shove, yeah, why not? Listen,
I mean, it's probably
it's there, bro. You gonna break the glass in case of emergency.
Oh man, he said Little Richard.
Oh wow.
You working at Brutes. Don't put that act on. Don't put that act on.
Oh man, got that canoe cologne that you get at the drugstore.
Cool water over here ain't talking.
Oh, did you? Hey, Dracar was the stuff back in the day.
Listen.
All right, Dracar.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro.
He said, I remember when you didn't have to wear no cologne. All you had to do was get your Duke together.
You can't hold Stacey Adams' ass.
Oh, hey, I got a pair of Stacey Adams.
No, you didn't. Oh, murder grease man ass.
He said, who got the Dax?
Pass me the pomade. Pass the pomade.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
Damn, it smell like pink lotion up in this bitch.
Word said you got
Wow, yes.
Dick Gregory.
Oh, damn.
Juke.
Delicious juice.
Yo, Dick Gregory drinking ass.
Big Gregory, get your system cleansed, boy.
Whose system you talking about cleaning?
I can't think. Y'all ain't got no sense.
Oh, Lord of mercy. All right, y'all. He gave me all glossy in his bitch. That's the problem. No, all jokes aside, I want to thank Jazzy for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Chat, appreciate you every Monday coming to rock with us. Jazzy, you're welcome here anytime, by the way. So you say the word.
Forever.
Yeah, let us know.
Thank you for having me.
We got to get you and Jock back. I think that'll be very, very interesting to have that
We
dynamic.
can do a duet.
Yes.
Exactly. You got
we all stuck in the house anyway, so we might as well.
I'm about to say,
I know.
yeah, we
It'll
got.
be like,
Yeah,
Jazzy, I'm gonna need you to stop the moves.
we're gonna need that Get Lucky remix. We need that Get Lucky remix.
Just stop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely gotta pull the. I gotta
Get
pull
Lucky
the B.
2020. Yeah, the 2020 joint. Wait, can I find him in a daggone costume?
Please.
Had that on deck. Fellas.
All right, let me. Oh, go ahead.
Good.
No?
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Well, we're doing our outros.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, hold on.
Let Jazzy and
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes.
Nicole.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you say your.
I need to start writing my exit. No, I gotta write this joint down because
Oh, we can easily exit you. We can just hit the exit.
Boop, that's the show.
Goodbye.
Go ahead, Nicole.
No, definitely Jazz. It was so awesome having you here. I've been following you for a while. So just to hear you like speaking in detail about a lot of this stuff is actually awesome. So thank you for being here. It was actually my idea to have you on. I mean, I didn't. Did I?
Oh, look at this.
Did we say that?
Wow.
Taking credit.
She said it was her idea.
Only good thing is-
Everybody looked at her at the same time.
She said, "I got this Balky Bartakamis hat on."
I don't even gotta
all the
argue that with
ideas.
Jazzy know the deal.
Hey, what's up with
I
your
do
what's
know
up with
that
your
she has
headphones?
my sneakers, and she was the one that had the sneakers.
That's right.
True.
Ah.
Yes, sir.
Why is it flies coming from your shoe though?
Oh!
No, that was a joke actually. But yeah, so Weekend Power Girl, British Society, Miss Cleaning Kicks. So you guys know, bring your sneakers over to clean sneakers. I do them personally for now. We're trying to get a lot of them. But yeah,
Real quick,
yeah. What's up?
do you have any like business continuity with For the Society? Are you gonna go digital, like through the gram? Like, what are you thinking as far as like your inventory?
For right now, we're kind of putting everything on hold till we, this is actually really good for us because I work for FEMA and we always have like disaster plans and things of that nature. And now I'm starting to incorporate that in a small business. So we're definitely going to see, right now we're kind of putting everything on hold, having a lot of conference meetings and talking about what it is that we're going to do and how can we, this is more about preparedness and prevention. So we're working more on that, and yeah, let's see what happens. But we have a lot of things stored. Also, we're gonna be launching an academy for sneaker cleaning and things like that, and we're talking with some big reps. And so let's see. And a lot of it is gonna be kind of like what Jazzy was talking about, like as far as the woman representation. So we don't really see a female chick cleaning sneakers out there like that. So getting some attention through that. But yeah, it's a lot of great things that are still happening. We're actually not down that we closed the shop. We're in a good position. So far, we're fortunate.
Good.
So we're gonna take this time to really just create and reinvent and kind of restructure our mission to make it a little bit more resilient for things coming up. So yeah.
All right, well, keep us posted. Obviously, anything we can do to help to advertise and push stuff, just, say the word.
Yeah, you guys been great. You guys been great with reposting stuff. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. That's all me. Since we're taking credit.
Oh!
Really?
Don't get him started, please.
Since we're taking credit.
Please.
Everybody does. Marley post us, Mo sometimes, Buckeye.
What?
Yeah,
We're gonna talk after this.
I ain't been posting nothing. I ain't been posting nothing.
No, I'm joking. You all of you guys have been supportive, so I really appreciate it.
He said, I got over 100K followers. I charge.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever.
I'll send you my influencer rate.
You know what I'm saying?
5 people a month. Only 5 people a month.
Man, I just haven't even been on IG that much, really.
Nah,
It's so bad that I got people DMing me talking
break.
about, hey,
Are you mad at
are
me?
you mad? Yup. You mad at me? You ain't like my pictures? I use your hashtag, and I'm like, yeah, okay, well, I got real life going on.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot more stress that's going on that, it's tough to kind of get motivated to get back into IG and buying shoes and things like that. So
Exactly. You got my number. Hit me up. Let's talk.
Right. I'm definitely down for that.
Just because I ain't liking your pictures don't mean I got a problem with you. Hell, a lot of people don't like my pictures. I don't take it personal.
I don't be seeing everybody. That's the thing. If I get on there for a quick moment, oh, what the hell?
Oh my bad.
That's dirty. Look at his face. Cannons to the left.
What I missed it. I saw absolutely nothing.
Oh, you didn't see it?
Hold up.
De La Ghetto.
I'm watching the YouTube, so I ain't
shoot. I'm mad I remember that episode.
You'll see it. Jazz, you want to say anything on the way out?
Shit.
Oh yeah, Jazz. Tell the people where they can find you, the various websites. I posted some in the chat, but
Yeah, on Instagram under NerdLikeJazzy on Twitter, Jazzy Ray, R-A-E, like Rayquan. And we just launched our business website. My business partners, Mazin and Don Martin. We are at true2size.com, which is like a sneaker term, true to size. So it's a consulting firm that focuses on marginalized or amplifying marginalized voices and designing experiences, speaking from the heart of communities. And we really want to fuck shit up this year. So we're blessed to be in business.
Well, I
gotta check that out.
Pants.
That's very dope. We'll have it in the description as well. So I put it in the chat. We'll leave it in the description. Definitely check that out.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys. This was a ton of fun, especially, being all locked down in the house. I would have seen a little bay thing if I knew this was gonna happen beforehand.
A shelter bay.
I would have seen a shelter bay.
You get in the fight, you can't nobody leave the house.
It's gonna stress
you gotta have
a lot of
you gotta have a Mo-sized house to have a fight with your significant other.
Wait.
Hey,
I'll be on the first
on the main floor.
Maul's got wings. Yeah, Maul's got wings.
You said you. Oh Lord.
All right,
Jamal Murray.
Jazzy, appreciate you coming on. Loved your energy. It was great, and definitely, a nice way to cap the day off, considering everything that's going on. So thank you for coming on. Like Molly said, you're welcome anytime. Thank you for all you guys on the chat. I mean, we're always talking shit and cracking jokes throughout the week, so it definitely helps kind of brighten up the mood considering everything that's going on. So I appreciate you guys, and definitely appreciate the chat as well for tuning in. I've been talking with a lot of you guys offline as well. So, you guys be safe, do what you can to, stay healthy and, I know it's tough, you want to get out, but don't, be safe first. So
stay indoors and stay away from
Whoa. We can't stay indoors now. I go for runs. I got to get out. I can't just sit here.
Okay. Well,
stay
away from how you butt assed outside on the ground.
Well, I went for a couple sanity walks, but I rarely saw human interaction across the street. Like,
oh yeah, now there we go. Exactly. I'm staying
away
from
cul-de-sac in the circle.
People walk in. I'm like, all right, let me get up in the street, moving traffic. All right.
Oh, Nicole. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Hmm?
I like Nicole.
I totally ignored all the messages that saying battery low.
Oh man.
We just gonna ride it out. But
you all right, Kev?
To the church.
Your turn.
All right. First of all, Jazz, thank you for coming on the show and blessing us with your presence, especially right now with I might be in trouble. With everything that's going on. Nicole, thank you for coming on with yet another fantastic hairstyle and the brown derby. Fellas on the show, definitely appreciate you guys. You guys keep the sanity there. Everybody, all the usual suspects, definitely appreciate you guys coming on and always showing love. I'm gonna go through my list. Big Boy Sneaks, Footage Society, Rican Power Girl, dang, 2-time. I Am Large Young, and Higher Learning. Definitely appreciate you guys shouting us out throughout the week. And everybody, just pay attention to what's going on the TV, man. Like, don't chance it. Don't be somebody that's not here this time next year because you felt you needed to go out, or don't put up somebody else in that position by having to go out yourself. So everybody take care of each other, and
everybody thinks it can't happen to them, but it's closer than you think. So
right.
Yeah,
be careful. Trust me.
I cough in the morning and be like, I'm gonna.
Listen, that was me last night.
Scared, boy.
I coughed in the middle of the night. Apparently, one of my kids is up. First thing she's doing, texting me at 2:30, like, Papa, you got the corona? I was like, what you talking about?
It's like, I hope not. Shit, they keep telling you
Like,
that.
do I?
Yeah, I'm sitting here like
I be
trying to give
scanning
myself a
temps all
breast
day.
exam. Like,
Do I?
Bring that incense back
all
up
day,
there.
man.
Shoot, I've been
Right.
trying to hold coughs up during the show. I've been muted. I'm like, I ain't even gonna lie. I'm like,
You
oh,
see,
shit, I got a cough. But it's muted.
I gotta clear my throat. I ain't got no cough. I got no chest congestion. Everything's all good in here.
Okay.
So I'm thermal scanning. All right, we good.
yeah. I mean,
Can't put it under the armpit. Under the armpit.
and the media is they're gonna
Under
say
that-
whatever
under
they're
that
gonna say.
forehead.
They're gonna. Go ahead, my bad.
No.
All right, well,
Actually, so
let me go ahead and what?
Yeah,
you doing?
Ma got it.
no.
You gotta say your goodbyes, man.
I said my goodbyes.
He did. He said it. Yeah, we
All
waiting on
right,
Yoda. Let's go,
let me
Yoda.
on and close it out.
Guys, before we
Kunta.
close,
Kunta Kinte.
make sure you don't disconnect.
Got you.
All right, so Jazz, thank you again for coming on, hanging out with us, dropping some gems. We really appreciate you. You put a lot of knowledge out there that we definitely needed to hear, so we appreciate you for coming on. Nicole, thank you, and Mustafa for coming on. As always, we appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. Fellas, appreciate y'all as always. Y'all been keeping me up all week as we always do. So, and the chat, usual suspects, man, y'all take this thing serious. Like Kevin said, you know, this is not a game. This is not a joke. This was for real. You know, our life has changed forever, and you know, we gotta follow these rules that they putting out, regardless of how we feel about them. We gotta follow these rules. That's the only way we gonna get beyond this and get past this and get back to somewhat of a normal life. With that, everybody be safe, peace, love, and we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.